Vaxis III, the father of Make Believe, the new album from hard rockers Coheed and Cambria, is an amazing production of awesome songwriting, performances, and just flat out rock, but might not appeal to a lot of music fans outside of the Coheed and Cambria faithful. I'm going to break it all down on this edition of Rock Album Review. Vaxis! Hey everybody, it's Nick here with you. Welcome back to the channel. Vaxis Act III, the father of Make Believe, is the 11th studio album from Coheed and Cambria. It's the follow-up to Vaxis Act II, Window of the Waking Mind, and this is the third part of the Vaxis trilogy. And I reviewed the last two Vaxis albums here on the channel, and if you saw those reviews, you might know I don't just say Vaxis. No, I have to say it like this. Vaxis!
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 Vaxis! And I have to say that I'm a big fan of Coheed and Cambria. I'm by no means a diehard fan, but I dig a handful of songs on each of their studio albums, but I feel like Coheed and Cambria are not really an album band for me. And I really liked Vaxis Act I and Vaxis Act II. Very solid albums. I thought that Vaxis Act II had some really great tracks like Liars Club, Rise, Nasha, Shoulders, and Comatose. There were some truly amazing tracks on that album that were added to the Coheed canon. And I have to admit, I know next to nothing about the Amory Wars storyline that runs through the majority of the Coheed albums. I respect the epic nature of the story and the albums, but at this point, I feel like the Amory Wars story is more convoluted than the Star Wars universe. And can anyone explain to me the Amory Wars storyline in less than 2 paragraphs? Like, I need the Coles Notes version, guys. Like, hop in the comments below. Let me know the storyline, because you know what? I don't even know what's going on with this shit anymore. Like, are Coheed and Cambria even characters in this story anymore? Let me know in the comments. Before we continue, guys, if you like this video, if you like this channel, make sure to toss me a thumbs up and a like. I'd really appreciate that. And if you like what I'm doing here and you don't want to miss out on future videos, make sure to smash the subscribe button. All right, let's get back to the review.
Vaxis!
And Coheed and Cambria are becoming the elder statesmen of rock on their 11th studio album, but I still think they sound like a really vibrant rock band. I really like the singles leading up to the release of the album, and I was looking forward to another epic new album from Coheed. And with this new album, just like all Coheed music, it's rock music of the highest caliber. The album is dynamite in its execution and production, and we know that Coheed have never been slouches in the studio.
Vaxis!
But it may not be for everyone. I feel like 11 albums in, I feel like Coheed and Cambria is kind of preaching to the choir at this point, and I feel like they may not necessarily make a lot of new fans on this album. But for a Coheed record, the songs on here are epic, but digestible in the 2 to 4 minute range, despite the epicness of the album's themes and the album's lyrics. The father of Make Believe kicked off in a much different fashion than I expected. The opening track, Yesterday's Lost, started with this epic piano intro into some acoustic guitar and Claudio Sanchez singing in a different register, a lower register than usual. It was very orchestral. It was very different for Coheed and Cambria. It kind of sounded a little bit like a modern band like the Shins, but then reminded me of old school 60s rock like the Beatles and folk stuff from the 60s as well. But then after that, we're right into typical Coheed rock territory, which is never a bad place to be on songs like Goodbye Sunshine, which reminded me of Liars Club from Vaxis 2, and Searching for Tomorrow, which is one of the singles from the record. I think this is one of the catchiest Coheed singles that we've gotten in a very long time, and I think it's a great track. And Coheed, as much as they like to keep things kind of in that epic hard rock territory most of the time, they go to some different extremes in terms of their sound on this record. You have a song like Blindside Sunny that is the more unhinged side of Coheed and Cambria. It's just blistering rock. Love this song. Majority of their stuff, the majority of their stuff rocks, but it's usually pretty calculated and emotional, and it's nice to hear them let loose a little bit and hear Claudio Sanchez screaming his lungs out. And then on the flip side of that, there are some much softer moments on here as well, with pianos and softer vocals from Claudio Sanchez on the intro of Mary of Mercy, Corner My Confidence, which proves that Claudio Sanchez is one of the best vocalists in rock. Like, he can sing, he can scream, he can do these beautiful moments really well too. So this is really, when we think about Claudio Sanchez, he's a really special kind of one-of-a-kind frontman in the world of rock. By far the poppiest moment on this record is Someone Who Can. This sounds like a completely different band. It's actually reminded me a little bit of the new album from Sam Fender, which I reviewed a couple of weeks ago here on the channel, or something by Bruce Springsteen. A little bit more of that classic rock vibe mixed with a pop rock vibe. And I wish that it wasn't buried so far back in the album. I really wish that this was kind of given a little more of a highlight in the earlier part of the record to give it a little bit more variety. I don't think it's really sacrilege for a band like Coheed and Cambria to do something this poppy. They've more than earned their stripes as a hard rock band, so it's nice actually to hear them do something different on this record.
Vaxis!
But despite my enjoyment of a lot of the songs on here, this album was a long listen, clocking in just under an hour long, and I felt myself getting bored with a lot of the typical Coheed-isms of this record. As awesome as they are, I was losing interest in songs like Play the Poet, and then a good section of the Continuum saga was losing me as well. And as a Coheed album, it has to have a multi-section, multi-part epic series of tracks, and the Continuum songs are okay, but I feel like they're pretty standard fare for Coheed and Cambria. And that is until I heard the Continuum 4 called So It Goes. This is Coheed turning into a pop rock band, a roly-poly rock band. It reminded me a little bit of like Panic at the Disco or something like that. And I was thinking, is this the poppiest that Coheed have ever been on one of their records? I feel like that might be true. And it also feels a little bit out of place with the other songs on this record, because they're pretty much kind of on one level, the rocking up to 11 all the way through, and then they throw you a curveball right here at the end of the record. And I guess it's okay because it's right at the end of the album. And I was getting so much sonic whiplash because of all the epic rock that was happening on this record. And then you end up with this song, which really changes things up at the end of the album, which maybe it'll be a little bit too late to be doing something so weird and so strange for Coheed. I wish they had done it earlier on in the record, but it's a cool song, and I really like the orchestral outro to this. It was a very cinematic way to end the album. And like I said, this is a lot longer than a lot of rock albums that we've gotten as of late. It seems like everything I've been listening to and reviewing for this record is more in the 30 to 40 minute range, but this is almost an hour of listening, and we would expect nothing less from Coheed and Cambria. And at the end of the day, the father of make-believe, the whole Vaxis trilogy, is really more than just an album. It's a dense thematic work that has a lot of depth in the lyrics and the music to explore, and I feel like Coheed and Cambria fans are going to have a lot to dig into on this record. And as much as I love and respect Coheed and Cambria, I think they're one of the best bands in hard rock right now. A little Coheed goes a long way for me, and this album is no different than their other ones. I like a lot of the songs that I've heard, and there's a bunch that I'm going to take away, but this is probably the last time I'm going to listen to the album in full. And again, as much as I love Coheed, sometimes they're hard to sing along with. You know, Claudio Sanchez is obviously an amazing vocalist, an amazing melody writer, and there are a lot of catchy moments on here that you can sing along with, but sometimes it feels a little bit out of touch for the average singer to be singing along to in the car, with the exception of the more single-worthy tracks.
Vaxis!
But despite my misgivings about some of the songs on The Father of Make Believe, this album continues to show why Coheed are such a great guitar band. Like, really, if you're a guitar lover, a fan of hard rock, a fan of guitar, this album is for you. It's got some great tones on here. It's got those crunching riffs on songs like the title track, The Father of Make Believe, and pretty much every song on the album. And of course, some killer solos from Claudio Sanchez and Travis Stever. And I dug a lot of the songs on here, despite losing a little bit of interest here and there. My favorites on The Father of Make Believe were Searching for Tomorrow, Blindside Sunny, One Last Miracle, which I thought was a song with a great chorus, and then Someone Who Can. Might be a little bit poppy for a lot of Coheed fans out there, but I love a good poppy melody, so that one was a favorite for me.
Vaxis!
Vaxis 3 is a solid listen. It's a little overlong, as I said. A little Coheed goes a long way for me as a music fan, as much as I love them, but I think it's going to appeal to the Coheed faithful who love them, or 11 albums in, or are all in with Coheed and Cambria, but maybe might not bring in a lot of new fans. But really, when you're 11 albums in, which album really does? So I'm going to give the new album from Coheed, Vaxis 3, The Father of Make Believe, a solid 3 out of 5. All right, guys, that is it. That is my rock album review for the new album from Coheed, Vaxis 3, The Father of Make Believe. I promise that's the last time I'm going to say it like that for now, but let me know what you thought of the album in the comments below. Make sure to toss me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Make sure to share this video online with your friends and fellow rock fans. And if you like this channel, you like what I'm doing here, I'd really appreciate you smashing the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. And you can also follow me on social media at Nick Chino Music. But I'll see you guys again for another rock album review here on the channel. Until then, rock on, everybody.